Undisputed Boxing finally launched in October 2024 after a year and a half of early access and years more of development. It is the first licensed boxing game to arrive for consoles in over a decade, and the hype was real. I saw many excited comments on videos that I made in the build-up to the game's release. Contrast that to now, and most of the comments on my Undisputed videos are negative ones about the game. A myriad of issues have plagued the game since launch, and a slow update rate has seen players abandoning the game. Many content creators who once covered the game have stopped, which is wild to see, as many of them covered the game for years, the same as me, from when the game was announced as Esports Boxing Club to its eventual release as Undisputed. In today's video, I'm going to analyse the player count numbers over the past 2 years to see what the trend is, and I'll attempt to answer the question, is Undisputed dead? I only have the Steam chart numbers to go off for today's video, so the sample size is perhaps smaller than I would like, but it still gives us a good indication of the game's popularity and what the trend is for people playing Undisputed Boxing. It's probably the case that more people will be playing the game on console, but we don't have really any way of figuring out the actual statistics on that. A good way to judge, though, is to look at how long it takes for online fights to connect in the matchmaking. Back on January 31st of 2023, the game released in its early access form. During the month of February 2023, according to Steam chart, the game's peak player count was just shy of 6,000 players, and it had an average player count of nearly 2,000 during its opening month of early access. The following month saw a huge drop-off to a peak of only 2,000 players and an average of 1,000. The numbers then continued to decline over the next year, with just 3 months seeing tiny gains against their previous ones. But by January 2024, with nearly a year into Undisputed's early access, the game was down to just a peak of 800 players on Steam and averaging around 465 players. This goes along with my own experience of early access with Undisputed Boxing. I found that I dropped off from playing the game after a while, and I've actually played the game more now since its full release than I ever did during early access. In February 2024, the early access saw its most significant update when Steel City Interactive introduced the career mode into Undisputed. This was a great addition to the game for myself and for many others who were looking for a new lease of life with the game, and it certainly reflected in the Steam chart numbers, with a peak of nearly 7,000 players for that month and an average player count of 1.7 thousand. The following month saw a similar drop-off in March 24 to the one a year previously after the game launched in early access, of around 40% in the following month. It actually retained players a little better with the addition of career mode, but only slightly. The numbers took another drop in April 24 before a 40% increase in May 2024. And I think this increase in May 2024 was because this was when they announced that the full release date of Undisputed was to be later that year. It was announced in May of 2024, so that's probably why there was an increase in the player count during that month. But from that point up until the full release, the numbers dropped back to their lowest levels again, under 1,000 peak and under 500 average. And this is a trend that has again been seen since the full launch numbers saw a boost to nearly 4,000 peak players and an average of 1.4 thousand. We're seeing month on month that the game is trailing back down those low figures once again. The only slight increase was in December when the first major update arrived, and it was such a minuscule increase on the previous month. Looking at the current Steam chart numbers, we are back to sub 1k peak months and around an average of 500 for the PC, which is tiny. We're 1 month away from another supposed update to the game, and this should see another spike in the chart numbers, but Steel City Interactive need to have this update provide a more steady player base and not one that sees the numbers dwindle so much until their next update. Players need something that gives them confidence that they'll be able to enjoy the game and make them want to pick it up more and play. It's such a competitive space and Steel City Interactive have done an amazing job at getting this game out and managing to provide us with something that we have been waiting for such a long time. But they need to make the experience something that will make players want to play more and more. I'm guessing most people will look to play this game for its online experience, and in this area the game has had a lot of issues. Some of these issues are supposedly due a fix in the update coming, so this may please a lot of the players. It's pleasing to see that the offline mode of Korea was such a big draw when it was added though, and it did seem to hold players for a few months when it was released. I think some small improvements to that area of the game could go a long way too, and I'll be doing a video soon about what improvements I'm hoping to see in the Undisputed Korea mode. So is Undisputed dead? Well, it certainly seems to go in a bit of a cycle. A new mode or update releases and players come back to check it out. We've been starved of a boxing game for so long that I do believe people want to see this game do well, but as the months pass, the numbers fall dramatically. There does seem to be a loyal base of players though that seem to always be there, and as I said earlier, we don't know the console numbers. The game did sell 1 million units apparently, which was very good for a first time game for Steel City Interactive. I think a lot rides on this upcoming update for Undisputed's future, but let me know what you think in the comments and go watch this video next.